Welcome everyone to another episode of Facility Management Marketing Podcast. I'm your host Javier, and I'm actually recording this episode on Memorial Day weekend, actually on Monday. So, just wanted to get a few extra episodes in, batched into this little grouping that we got before I go on my vacation in 2 weeks. And so, as you guys know, Memorial Day, this is the time to remember all of the soldiers that have served for us and giving the most, I guess you could say like the biggest sacrifice ever, their life and for the freedom that we have. And so very thankful for what our soldiers have done in the past, in the present, and in the future. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today in the U.S. I mean, no matter how much turmoil is going on, no matter how much arguments are going on between different sides of different sides of the line or parties or people, whatever, we still should be thankful for the soldiers that have gone out there and fought for our freedoms, given the biggest sacrifice possible, and have helped us do this. Like, if it wasn't for what these people have done, I wouldn't be able to do a podcast. This would be illegal in other countries. And so I'm very thankful for those folks. And so I just thought that I want to just kind of say thank you to all of you guys that have served or are currently serving in the military. You guys, it's why we're able to do what we do here. And if you lost a loved one because they fought in battle, I thank them so much for the sacrifice that they've given for us to have the freedom that we have. I don't know if I would be able to do what these men and women have actually done to go out there and do that. So anyways, what I wanted to go and dive into is this new topic that it's basically, if you guys are realizing what I do a lot of things that are a lot of frameworks, a lot of like clusters, a lot of just kind of like putting things together and then kind of launching and executing upon these frameworks that I've created. And so this next framework that I'll be teaching you guys on is how to create a content calendar for blogging. And so I know some people kind of say like, well, Javier, blogs are, it's so 1990s, 2000s, that kind of stuff. And actually, no, blogs are very live and they are they're still very powerful. They still have a place in this world, and blogs will continue to go. As long as the humankind continues to read stuff, blogs will continue to be what it does. It's just a matter of either telling stories, sharing content, teaching people how to do things, sharing knowledge, perspective, vision. Blogs will continue. I mean, it's no different from, like what we consume, from what we used to consume back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s in newspapers. We're now consuming them digitally. And so it's the same thing. It's just a different format. And so, creating a content calendar for blogging, quite frankly, is going to make your life way easier and less overwhelming when it comes to like, oh, what am I going to put together? What am I going to write about, and all this other fun stuff. And the other part that's amazing about creating blogs is that you start putting yourself in a position to where you can start getting some great SEO prowess out of it as well too. So now if you're a person that's like, well, I don't really like writing a lot. I don't really like sharing content in this format. I prefer to do it via video. I prefer to do it via podcasting. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, heck, what you can do is take your podcast that you do your video and have it transcribed. Okay, use some sort of third-party software, and then that becomes your blog. You have to edit it, obviously, because the way you speak isn't going to probably be the way that you would write something. But that's another way of doing this. So kind of keep this in mind that for those that are kind of like weary of blogging, why don't you just speak it out loud? And then you can set up your topics. How I'm going to teach you right now, you just speak about it. You have it transcribed, and then you go in there and you make quick edits to it, and there's your topic. Very simple. So just kind of keep that in mind, that there's different ways on how to leverage today's technology, where you don't have to be a jack of all trades and you don't have to do everything. You just got to do a little bit of something that's going to set you apart. And blogging is one of those things that I really believe that it can help you. It's going to help you for SEO purposes, and it's going to help you for authoritative purposes. You can get a lot of snippets and great content to promote your blog. You can get snippets and micro content from that to share, knowledge, to expand on stuff. I mean, there's so many different ways on how you can use a blog that some people just kind of like, they write a blog and then all they do is they just post it on social media. I'm like, you miss like 10 other things that you could have done to promote this thing. Like, instead of just, writing something and posting the entire damn, link to it, use micro content from it. Like find ways on how to actually publish this thing in other places. Promote it. Like there's so many different ways that you can do this. And this is not probably the best episode to do that, because I'm going to teach you guys on how to create a content calendar for blogging. But keep in mind that when you're creating blogs, it's not just get the link, copy it, put it onto LinkedIn and put a post and that's it. And not even comment on your damn post. Not even actually put content within your post. Just put a link there and be like, and this is what I think about facilities management. And then it's a link to your blog that you just wrote. It's a lot of people are they're completely misusing this content. They're not using it the right way, where they could be leveraging so many pieces of it. All right. So I'm going to get off my soapbox right now and dive in deeper into this whole content calendar. So the best way I can actually explain this is, when you create a content calendar for blogging, it's all a matter of like, looking at it from a 30,000 foot view and then getting down to like some tactical things within that as well too. So you're going to write all sorts of topics and ideas that you can talk about with no prepping. So that's the first thing. And I'm talking like everything. Okay. So if it's like, hey, how to do preventative maintenance without having, how to do preventative maintenance for HVAC without having an HVAC tech, maybe it's something like that. Or how to do, how to hire a handyman to help alleviate, basic mundane jobs, something like that. Maybe it's those little things, or how to, how to do preventative maintenance for plumbing, or how to, set your budget correctly for next year's, you see what I'm trying to get to? Like all these topics, like things that you already know, that you're like, well, yeah, this is easy for me to know. Not everyone knows those answers. And so a lot of people get caught up in this whole thing of like, well, if I know it, everyone else probably knows it too. That's not true. Because if that was the case, then I wouldn't be doing this podcast. Okay. So like, think about that. Like I wouldn't be doing this podcast just because I know it doesn't mean that everyone else in the facilities world understands and how to do all this stuff. I realized very quickly when I was running, when I was working for CMM Mechanical, that there's a big gap between marketing knowledge and execution, and all this stuff. And so I started realizing, I'm like, you know what? This stuff all in my head, like just because I know it doesn't mean that everyone else knows it as well too, or everyone else should know it. Like you don't know what you don't know. It's basically what it boils down to. So get off of this whole thing of, well, everyone probably knows this, and why should I share something that everyone else probably knows? Those people aren't probably your audience anyway, so who cares? Okay, I'm sharing my topics and knowledge to everybody that doesn't know about facilities and marketing. Okay, so they understand facilities, they understand operations and sales and finance, but they don't know about facilities that go along with marketing as well too, like creating a marketing strategy to go along with your facilities management company. Okay, like the only place I really see marketing strategy take place, and I would even argue that it's not very good, is probably more on the SaaS side of facilities management. So if you're offering some sort of CMMS software, you guys probably have some sort of director of marketing, VP of marketing, or at least you should. If you don't, you got some bigger problems. Okay, so if you're one of those folks that are listening to this and you do have a SaaS product and it's something that's in the facilities world and you don't have a director or a VP or a CMO of marketing, you've got some problems. Okay, so anyways, so my point is write all the topics that you can talk about without prepping, and just write things. You don't have to have an exact title for this thing. Just like, I can talk about this. I can talk about this. Like for me, It'd be like, I can talk about SEO and how to set up an SEO strategy. I can talk about Facebook ads. I can talk about PPC and Google ads. I can talk about quarterly strategies. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can write all these topics down and I can just like talk about them off the top of my head. And those are topics that you would write about. And so you would write as many topics as you can. And really, like in one sit down, you should probably get anywhere from 25 to 50 topics like that. Okay? If you can get 25 to 50 topics of just you sitting down writing topics of things that you know, you're already ahead of the game. Okay? So that's number one, is just write down all the topics that you can actually talk about. Okay? And it could be like one of those like, this is a really sneaky one. And if you're thinking, oh, if I share this, my competitors are going to find it. Trust me, they're not going to find it and they're not going to give a shit about it. Okay? You might be thinking like, well, this is my secret sauce. Trust me, like you want to share your secret sauce. And so the reason you want to share your secret sauce is this. Imagine if you were a homeowner, and like here, I'll give you a true story. I'm trying to figure out my irrigation system in my house. So I've got an irrigation system that we've got all set up, right? And we've got like some vegetable gardens that are going uphill, all right? And so we have a drip system that is all set up for that. Well, it's not getting enough pressure. Okay, like the drip system isn't getting enough pressure to like actually put like to spray the water out of the line, and so it's like trickling out on these little valves, on my veggie gardens. I'm like, this is not good, and so I'm like looking up everything possible on YouTube and on not Facebook, on Google and everything. Right? Imagine if there was that one dude that recorded videos on how to do these things and how to troubleshoot it, and he lived in my community. He lived in Castle Rock. Imagine if that person existed. And you might be thinking, well, Javier, like if he did exist, would you call him first? If he had videos, I would be watching those videos and consuming it. And I know I'd be fucking something up and be like, crap, I screwed this up. I'm going to call Joe the irrigation guy because he's the one that showed me how to do it. And somehow I screwed something up or my system is a little different, but he can help me fix it. You're that person now. Because you produce so much good content and so much value that whenever someone does screw it up, the first person they think of is like, I should call Joe the irrigation guy. Or, I should call Javier, the marketing guy for facilities. Like, do you see what I'm trying to get to? So this is why you should be sharing your secret sauce, okay? Even in content like in a blog, all right? So don't be afraid of sharing this stuff. Like, be out there and share it because not everyone's going to consume it. And on top of that, your competitors, if they can even execute upon it, I mean, you'd be amazed that they won't be, all right? I can tell you that much right now, okay? So once you, write out all your topics, organize your topics into buckets, okay? So like maybe, out of the 25 topics you have, let's just play simple math, 5 buckets, and they all fall into like 5 categories that you're really good at. Maybe it's like HVAC, plumbing, handyman, electrical, and signage. Let's just say it's like those 5 things, okay? And then so if that's the case, then you have categories, and those are the buckets that you would be kind of categorizing things. So that way you can share knowledge in each one equally, if you will, distribute them. So like these are my core competencies when it comes to like this kind of topic or this kind of content that I share. And so then you're going to determine how long these posts are going to be. For SEO purposes, you want about 1,000 words. Okay, so if you're like, well, what's the difference between blogging and SEO? I mean, it's almost the same, but not really. Like you can write a blog for 500 words and it's good, solid, amazing content. Or you can write a blog for like, say, 1,500 words and people sit there and they're like, dive into it and then they click on another link and they dive into it like another thing and they click on something else and they click on something else and they continue to experience like this whole rabbit hole experience. You can do that. And so it depends on what your goal is with this content. If you're just wanting to share something and give an answer, then just get to the point, give the answer. Like, set it up however you need to, but 500 to 1,000 words, 1,500 words, it just really depends on what it takes for you to actually deliver that content. It's like for me, my podcasts are probably 30 minutes, but sometimes they're 20, sometimes they're 45. It just depends, and in order for me to get the answer what I'm trying to teach, it just depends on how quickly I can get it across, okay? So you're just gonna have to determine that on your end, okay? The next part is going to be creating topic headlines for each blog. So once you created your topic and once you've put them into buckets, and once you've determined like, all right, this one's going to be like 750, this is going to be like about 1,000, give or take, then you want to start creating like an actual like topic. So a title for this, okay? So it could be how to schedule a quarterly preventative maintenance program for your plumbing, for your plumbing, all right, something like that. Or how to schedule a quarterly HVAC preventative maintenance program, whatever that is, okay? Like of the categories that you've selected, right? Or how to, diagnose your HVAC system because it's blowing hot air when it's supposed to be cold. Something like that. Some sort of nuance that you just kind of know that you see all the time. Like, talk about it. Okay. So when it comes to blog topics, you're going to do a little research. So then what you'll do is you're going to type in like the category and then maybe like an idea of what you think the topic could be about. And then you're going to see, and then you're just going to put into Google and you're going to see what people have created. Like, oh, this person made this. Oh, that's interesting. And you click on the blogs and you start reading them really quick. You start doing just basic research. You'll notice that like how-tos tend to have a higher probably click rate, because what that does is that people are wanting to get answers. Like Google is used to get answers. Like, how do you do this? And how do you do that? And like, mind you, like when I was doing today, like, how do I figure out the pressure? And like, I'm typing all these certain things and like, I don't know what the right thing to type. But then as I'm finding the answers of something, I'm like, oh, that's part of what I'm looking for. Then I'll type that. And then I'm like, okay, this is part of what I'm looking for next. And then I'll type something else. And I'm like, oh, this is it. And then eventually I get to the exact answer that I was looking for, but I didn't know how to like phrase the question. And that's how people find your content eventually. And so that's why you want to do a little research on topic creation, is just start typing some stuff of like how people are like type in what you would talk about. And if someone like, if there's not a topic about it, or if there is, be like, okay, how can I spin this to sound better than this other topic that's out there? It might be like 5 key, strategies to save money on preventative maintenance programs, something like that. Like, but what you do is you find ways on how to get someone to be like, oh, that's really interesting. I want that. I want to learn more about that. And so when you do that, all of a sudden what you've done is you've created a kind of like a hook, and people are like, oh, this is interesting. I want to know more about this, and they click it, and that's what you're trying to do. So you're gonna create your topics, your headlines, and so these headlines, they might change, but this gives you a good head start. All right. So then from there, you're gonna create subtopics, and so each subtopic is gonna basically be like, if it was like 5 strategies on how to save money under your preventative maintenance program, then it's going to be like your subtopics is like strategy number 1. And then you do this and strategy number 2. And it's this and number 3, 4, and 5. It can be simple as that. Okay. And so sometimes it's like compare and contrast. Like I remember one time I wrote a blog that was like the Great Debate. It was, what was it? The Great Debate. Self-performing versus national performers. So like, there's a big debate like between facility managers, like, well, do you self-perform or do you sub it out? And quite frankly, I'm like, this is the stupidest question. Like, you shouldn't be asking the whole damn question about self-performing. You should be asking like, hey, do you get the shit done on time, correctly, in budget, and can you like respond quickly? Or are you just one of those people that just kind of like finagle everything? Like that's the question a facility manager should be asking, but you get my point. So I wrote a topic about that. So where I'm coming from is that like, it just depends on the topic that you're going to be talking about and how many subtopics you'll be having. Okay. And so next, after you've created your headline and then your subtopics, you need to determine how many blogs you'll be able to write per month. And this is going to be tough because sometimes some people are like, well, I just don't have time to write all this stuff. Remember what I said earlier, how you can just record yourself? Just a little tidbit of advice. If you speak for about a minute, that's roughly, give or take, 100 words. So when you speak for about a minute, it's roughly, give or take, 100 words. So if you speak for, say, 10 minutes on a certain topic, that's about 1,000 words right there. It can be more, it can be less, depending on how fast you speak, okay? And how clear you speak. So just imagine, like, okay, if you say, I'm going to write 1 blog post per week, I think that's fair, which I think would be, in my opinion, a bare minimum. If you're going to be going into this content calendar for blogging, you want to be writing one blog post per week on a regular basis, okay? And to be quite frank, if you can do it for 52 weeks straight, that would be even better, because what happens is this: you start publishing new content once a week on a regular basis, Google starts sending more spiders to your website and starts diving deeper into your site. And they're like, oh, this FM company does this, and they know about this, and they also offer that, and they do this. And so when people are typing in those really weird searches, then your stuff starts going up higher. So when you create a cadence of publishing weekly on your blog, on your website, Google loves that. Excuse me. So the other part is, when you do that, you start kind of putting yourself in a authoritative kind of position, because it's not just like, oh, he's a one-hit wonder. No, you're a person that shows up every single time. Imagine if your favorite TV show was just random. It was just like out of the blue. All right. It's not like Netflix, where like they like, you don't even know when they're going to launch Ozarks. The next thing you know, they're like, and now the final chapter, and it's 10 episodes, boom, all at once. But then you're going a year and a half wondering, like, when are they going to publish it? When are they going to launch the new series? And imagine if you just had no idea and things were just being launched every time for your TV shows and stuff like that. Like, that's not a good cadence. And so, like, for instance, for me, like, we publish our podcast twice a week, okay? Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's just the cadence. And so I prep ahead of time, be like, okay, I'm going to be on vacation on these days. So I have to bucket like batch a whole bunch of podcast episodes and get them all prepared and then synced and then, have them deployed. And so keep this in mind, that like, that's part of this whole blogging strategy, is that, like, what can you realistically do? In my opinion, you should be able to do one blog per week. And if you want to write it from scratch, that's going to probably carve out 1 to 2 hours in a week. Okay. It's completely, in my opinion, completely worth it. All right. So from there, you're going to schedule your blog topics to publish on a certain day and time. So, whenever I do SEO strategy, I typically publish them on a specific day, once a week, like maybe like Wednesday. Sometimes, depending if we have a lot of topics, we'll try to do like 2 times a week. But just depends on like what the strategy is set up to be as. But it's once a week, and typically it's like the same day of the week. So it's like every Tuesday, for instance, or every Wednesday, or whatever that is. And it's around the same time in the morning. And so I usually have like, blogs that publish like in the morning. I don't know, that's just what I do. Like, you can do yours in the evening. You could be whatever you want. All right. But it's just pick a day and a time. All right. It could be like, all right, every Tuesday it's going to publish at 4 p.m. Okay, fine. That's what it is. So just stick with it is all I'm asking. All right. The other part that you can also do is you can hire a content writer to write your topics in batches. So hiring a content writer that's like an SME, a subject matter expert, is probably not a bad idea. And so this is like one of the hacks that I use, is that whenever I'm doing SEO strategy, what I do is I hire content writers to write topics. And like, I don't write this stuff. I create the strategy and what I want. I create the link building that I want. I create the cadence on how much, how quickly I want this all published and all this other stuff. But I don't actually write it. I hire someone else to do it. And so they write the topic based off of whatever I kind of give them guidelines on. And so I would recommend doing that. And you can find, content writers that charge you anywhere from 10 cents to 30 cents to 50 cents per word. And you're like, wait, what? They charge per word? Yes. So if like you're looking at a example, a 1,000-word piece of content, and you're going to be paying like a fair chunk of change, it's probably 30 cents a word. That's $300. And you're like, was it worth it? $300? Probably. Now, if you're not looking for it to be SEO optimized and you're just looking for good content, maybe it's a little bit less. I don't know, but you're gonna have to do a little shopping, and you might have to actually do a little exploratory. So where you're doing some work with these guys, you're like, all right, I like the way you write. Your style is good. The content that you're writing about is great. This is great. So you might have to see if they have that style and understand what you're trying to write about. So that's one hack that I recommend, is hiring a content writer. All right. So next part is schedule the topics in WordPress or whatever CMS system that you're using. So WordPress is one of the most popular CMS systems and website builders out there. Not even a website builder, but just like a website creator is probably the better word to use. I don't even know what the right word is. It's just a CMS. It's a content management system. That's what it is. Okay, so you can use WordPress, you can use Squarespace, you can use Wix, you can use, God, there's so many website builders out there that you can use whatever those are, and they have some sort of blogging platform. All right, Blogger, okay, whatever it is, schedule it. So once you have all these topics like batched in like 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, just sit there for like 20 minutes and like, all right, schedule this and then schedule this. And if you don't want to do it, give it to your admin assistant and just have them do it. Okay. But you're going to schedule it out. And the reason you schedule it out is so that it's just like you set it and then you forget it. So keep in mind that you've already written the topic. You've already have the subtopics. You've got your, everything filled in there. Some dude in a scooter that has like Christmas lights on. It's nighttime right now. And this is funny. Anyways, so you've got your topic, you got your subtopics, you got everything written out, and your content writer's already written it, or you've already written it, and then now you start scheduling everything out ahead of time. So you like to do these in what I call as batches, and you just batch them every 4 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is. But you just schedule these out for 4 to 8 weeks, and that's the easiest way of doing it. So like WordPress, you can do this very easily, and the other CMS systems out there, I'm pretty sure you can do it as well too, because like that's a very simple scheduling system to do. And then you rinse, you repeat. That's it. So really it's really simple. And going back to the very beginning that I mentioned about this is that if you're one of those folks that are like, well, I just don't like writing a whole bunch. Okay, then just speak it. Literally get a third-party software like Otter, OTTER.ai, and speak into it. Okay? And it will actually record what you're saying and transcribe everything. Speak into it. Talk about whatever topic that is. And then it just transcribes it for you. Yeah, you get to pay a little extra money for it, but you know what? You're not wasting your time writing this stuff out. So that's pretty much it. And the benefit of actually blogging on a regular basis is traffic. You are organically going to be getting traffic to your website based on how you title your blogs and what kind of topics you put in there, and what kind of keywords you're going in there. So, and if you're wondering like, what the hell are you talking about? If you're curious about how to make these blogs SEO friendly, go back to one of my trainings that I gave you in one of my podcasts on how to like basically do SEO content. Okay, so I give you I think it's like 2-part series on how to set up your whole entire SEO strategy, which I can tell you right now, 99% of all facility management companies are not using SEO correctly. I guarantee it. I can literally walk into any facility management company and fix their SEO, and they would instantaneously start seeing traffic probably in 6 months. And you're like, that's not instantaneous. Probably sooner if they have the right budget and if they have the right strategy to go along with what I'm telling them to do. But that's kind of where I'm getting to is that like, this is going to be helping you, and this is an investment into the long game. If you're planning on your business being around for a while, then you want to be investing into SEO. And so use this blogging calendar to help you kind of, batch everything. Use the SEO podcast that I mentioned before to help you kind of like optimize your blogs. Use the hacks that I gave you by either hiring a content writer or speak it into like a third-party software like Otter.ai. And then that's how you create your whole thing, and just kind of like put this whole stuff together, and you've created your little framework. And this is what I'm talking about. Like I create frameworks, and then I execute upon those frameworks. And you can do the same as well too. So anyways, I hope everyone found this very helpful and very powerful. As I mentioned today, it's Memorial Day. So thank you to all that have served and given the greatest sacrifice. That's the greatest sacrifice, period. Okay. So I'm so thankful for the men and women that have actually, given their lives for our country. And, more importantly, I'm so thankful for the men and women that continue to defend our freedom. So thank you for all of you soldiers out there, and all of you that are on my podcast that are, avid listeners. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you guys. If you are been listening, we're on the brink of hitting 1,000 downloads, which is kind of a big deal to me because we're quickly gaining some momentum in this podcast, and it's good. Like there's a lot of people that are reaching out to me now and saying, hey, I've been listening to your episodes and I'm loving this. And hey, can you talk about that? Like I'm seeing it more and more, and it's kind of cool. So 3 things, like my podcast and actually give me a 5-star review, and give me a review if you can on either Spotify or Apple Podcast. Follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on linkedin.com/in/Javier Lozano Jr. and just, connect with me, whatever that is. And then the last one, share this podcast with somebody else. Like I've had a lot of people share this podcast with others, and I can tell because then they'll start reaching out to me and asking me questions as well too. So anyways, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to everybody later.